Hi, it's good to be here. So far tonight we've talked about meat, which is a main dish. We have talked about bread, which is the accompaniment. We've seen vegetables in the form of our squash or butternut or pumpkin. Well, I get to do dessert. So you'll have a whole meal. So let me tell you what I'm doing. It's not the first recipe. It's the one that says country apple dumplings on the back of the first page. And I did include lots of recipes for various things in your handout, especially salads. And so I hope that you try all of those. But what we're making tonight is the dessert. And it is so simple. When you taste it, you're going to think, someone spent a long, long time making this. So if you want to impress your friends and neighbors when they come to dinner, make this dessert. Now, before I get started, I want to tell you a little about apples. When you think about Adam and Eve, what do you think about? Apples. We don't know that they ate an apple, but very often we think about Adam and Eve in terms of apples. Who's Johnny Appleseed? Came here when we were settling the country, and he went across the country planting apples. He liked apples so well that he planted apple trees over 100,000 square miles. Can you imagine? Now, in our country, the only apple that is original to here, or what he would have found when he came here, had he not someone brought some samples with him, or some varieties, would have been the crab apple. That is the only one native to the United States. But there are some others that have been bred, and so now we have lots and lots and lots of apples here. Apples are a part of the rose family. Now, my roses and my apples don't look very much alike, but they are part of the same family. If you grow roses and you see the little it's called rose hip. I couldn't think of it. If you can see the rose hip, if you were to cut it open, you would find out that it has the same anatomy, basically, as an apple. So they're from the same family. Now you can see this is what was available in our local grocery store yesterday when I went shopping. These are the varieties that were there for me to choose from. There are about 750 different varieties of apples around the world. So we have an assortment almost any time of year because of our ability to store apples. Now, if you were to take these apples and buy them at this time of year, you could take them home and store them in your house. You could store them in the refrigerator temperature, so somewhere between 35 and 40 degrees for 3 to 4 months. Now, if they start to dry out in your refrigerator, just take a piece of cheesecloth, wet the cheesecloth, wring it out, and put that piece of cheesecloth in the crisper drawer, and it will kind of rehydrate those apples and keep them from withering, and will prolong the time that you can keep them in storage. Now, of these varieties that we have here, as I was researching apples, what I found is that there are sweet apples, there are mildly tart apples, and there are tart apples. The most sweet apples of all are the red and yellow delicious. Now, if it's a sweet apple, it probably is not very good for baking. So if you've ever baked a pie with a red delicious apple, you know it gets really soggy. So use the more tart apples. The tart apples, the ones that we're using today are the Granny Smiths. There are other varieties, and you've got a handout that from the Washington apple growers that tells you what various popular apples are good for. But today we're using Granny Smiths. They are a tart apple. They cook, they hold their shape, they won't be soggy or mushy when you go to eat them. Okay, there are many, many reasons for you to eat apples. The first one is that it will, based on very, very new research, it will lower your blood sugar levels. It also takes care of some of the fat and cholesterol running through your bloodstream, helps to eliminate some of that by some enzyme changes. It helps people eat less. If you eat an apple 15 minutes before a meal, you will eat 15% less at the meal. So if you're dieting, try eating an apple to help you along. It also helps your GI tract so that food moves through your body a little better. And there is some really recent research that said there are various forms of cancer, particularly colon cancer, breast cancer, and lung cancer, which are greatly reduced by daily intake of one apple or more. Now, that does not mean that it will eliminate it or cause it not to be there, but it will help in warding off the problem. So, with that, let's talk about what we're going to be eating tonight. I peeled my apples early this morning. 7 o'clock, these were peeled, and you can see they still look pretty good, don't they? When you peel apples, there is an enzyme which causes them to darken. Actually, it's a protective barrier that apples have in themselves that will cause them to darken. It's trying to protect them. It's the same thing that we would have if we could produce our own sunscreen. Apples produce their own sunscreen. But when you cut them or bruise them, then they put up a barrier, and that barrier is the brown color, oxidization. And so to keep them from turning brown, we can use something very simple like Fruit Fresh. And just follow the directions, soak them in a solution of water and Fruit Fresh, and I promise that they will stay this good looking for a long period of time. It's been 12 hours or more. So the apples are there, the apples have been peeled and cut into eighths. And then what we're going to do is just take, this is a tube of crescent roll dough. If you wanted to be real creative and make your own dough, you surely could, but this is easy. We're just going to peel the dough. So now we have a triangle. You've worked with crescent dough before, you know that it comes in little triangles like this. We're just going to take the triangle, take the piece of apple, lay it with the thicker side toward the back, and start folding the dough around the apple. And this dough is very, very pliable, very easy to work with. And so if you can see little spots where the dough does not cover the apple, just continue to work with it until it is all covered. You see how easy that is? My husband was watching me this morning and he said, "It looks like you're diapering apples." Then put them in a pan. We're just making a half recipe. The recipe calls for 2 rolls of dough and 2 apples. And so we'll just put the apple in there. Then we would continue to fill that tray. I have been keeping warm the topping. And the topping is made from butter and sugar and cinnamon. Can you see it? You can smell it. It smells wonderful. And so we just melted the butter, stirred in the sugar and the cinnamon. And then if we had a whole pan full of little dumplings made, we would just put some of the topping right over the apple, like that. We're going to cover it and keep it on top. There. Then, the secret to making these is that, I have made apple dumplings before, and I always made some kind of a syrup. And when I read this recipe, I thought, oh, it can't be. It really can't be. Remember, it's dessert. This is, can I say the name? This is Mountain Dew. We have made it with other forms of soda, but don't make it with diet soda because you'll get that aftertaste of cooked diet soda. So some kind of a citric soda. And just pour it on. Be sure when you pour it, can you see? Be sure when you pour it that you're not washing off the topping. So you'll want to pour it down the side, like that. And then you'll bake it. Now I want you to see what it looks like. Can you see it? No.
Just pass it around.
Yeah. I promise there's one for everyone. But can you see how nice and brown those are?
Yeah.
the starch from the flour in the rolls will thicken, and so the Mountain Dew is no longer runny, but you do have a very good little base. And they're excellent served warm. You're going to be just tasting them tonight at room temperature, but just know that they are wonderful, wonderful to taste, to eat. Okay, so although we are having dessert tonight, I want you to keep in mind that apples are very, very good for you. When you eat an apple, be sure that you eat the entire peel. The peel is where most of the nutrients are, just like our potatoes. There is a higher concentration of nutrients right in that peel, the nutrients that will cause you to have the health benefits from the apple. Now, if you can't handle the fiber, then of course eat apples without the peel. But whenever possible, eat apples with the peel. The pectin in that outer layer, there's pectin all through, but there's a higher concentration in the outer layer. It is excellent for your heart and for your blood cholesterol levels. So don't forget that apples are inexpensive. Apples are available all year long. You can eat them raw, you can make them into salads, you can make them into breads, you can freeze them, you can can them, you can do any number of things with an apple. They are so versatile. So please include apples in your weekly or daily menu.